Let's start. So, if I can quickly take you back, you remember I said we start there. There should be a little cheese slice here as well. Our childhood years. I'm going to go back to that now. And the reason we're going to do this, and this is important, I want you to listen. I'm going to give you homework for our next session, which is Wednesday. And that homework is going to be about this. Okay? So in the end, I'll give you the homework. So just listen. You remember I said we go through 4 very important phases in our, since we are born until 7 years old. And we're going to do those 4 phases now. Okay? So the first phase we call the attachment phase. I'm sure those of you who have young children, very young children, know the word. It's the first 18 months of a child's life. Human babies, when they are born, can't see much further than this. And even then, when their little eyes open, they look, they're searching for eyes with whom they can connect. Because without having a neocortex, they know they are for their lives dependent on the empathy and love of a mature human. Okay. And here, they need safety, they need consistent care, they need warmth. Very interesting experiment that people did. They built 2 wire monkeys, and the one, they've stuck a lot of bottles, drinking bottles, baby bottles, and the other one, cotton wool. And they let loose little baby monkeys. It's terrible to watch it. And some of the baby monkeys died because they were not prepared to leave the warmth of the cotton wool mother to go and have a sip of milk. Okay, so our children need warmth and care. So what happens, what can go wrong in this phase, and that is why what happens in the subconscious, I'll explain, is it's cold. I do get milk and my nappies are changed. Everything is done, but it's cold. There's no warmth. There's no arms holding me. Okay? People visited children's homes in some of the war regions, and they said, "Shoo, but these babies are so quiet. They are so good." And the caretaker said they stopped crying because there's no arms to pick them up. They get everything. They're safe. They get food, but they stopped crying. Okay? Sometimes the care that we get is inconsistent. It's there, but it's sometimes hot and sometimes cold. Oh, that sounds like me. Sometimes it's really unsafe. Where there's abuse in a home, it is unsafe. So what happens here is in the subconscious, that little baby builds a picture about relationship, telling him or her, I need to cling to what I have. So when I do get the warmth, I need to cling to that. Or I need to avoid the relationship. Does it make sense? Okay. So in the first 18 months, we already get the subconscious picture of relationship is either safe and warm and consistent. That is a safe environment. That baby will be able to go to other people, cry a little bit, but play on their own and be very happy when mom and dad comes home. The children who perceives the relationship as cold will either avoid or cling when they get a little bit of warmth, or it is unsafe, I must stay away. Clinger, avoider. Okay? The second phase, 18 months to 2.5, we know it as the terrible twos. Bah! Tantrums, all those kind of things. What happens here is actually the exploration phase. This is where baby gets down from your knee and starts crawling all over the place and exploring stuff, putting stuff in their mouths, putting their fingers in places where they shouldn't. And what is important here is that they are allowed to explore with mom and dad keeping them safe. So when we are at a braai with friends, they can carry on, they can do their thing, but we have our eyes on them and we can just get them from the fire when we see they're going too close. So they are free to explore. What can go wrong is mom and dad is not watching out for me. No? Not because they're rude. Sometimes we just take our eyes and have you seen how quick a child can crawl and get into trouble? Okay? Or we've got what we call the hovering parents. Don't do this, don't do that, that's not safe, stay on my lap. And sometimes we have very insecure mom or dad, and that parent keeps the child on their laps because it makes them feel safe. So while I'm busy with the children, I don't have to engage with other people. Interesting. And that child feels suffocated. They do want to sit on mom and dad's lap, but they don't want to just sit there. They sometimes want to go and sometimes come back. And we get the same thing here. Picture of, if I'm off the lap, I should stay off the lap because otherwise I'm going to be smothered. Or I shouldn't get off that lap because if I get off and I look back, there's another baby brother or sister sitting there. Or they're gone. Okay? Same picture. Avoid and cling. Any avoiders and clingers sitting here? Thank you for your honesty. I am also sometimes an avoider and sometimes a clinger, and you know what? You all are. Okay. The third phase is the identity phase. Now we're growing up. We are about 2.5, 3 to 5 years old, and we play all kinds of characters. Usually I give my age away because if I talk about TV shows that they aren't on and nobody remembers them. Okay? So, I don't know what's going on now on television, but we play. And we play school, and we play all kinds of things, and we become these characters, and what we need is for mom and dad to play into those. Oh, I see, Mrs. Smith, you are going to the shop. Would you please buy me a bread and milk? Here is a 5 rand. And there goes Mrs. Smith with the little shoes and the handbag, and she's off to the shops, and 2 minutes later she's back, and we play. Ne? But now we can't always play because they go to school at that age. Now, sometimes they are witnessed at school. They've got playmates and things like that. Or we see them very selectively. You're only seen if you're going to play, you are a Northern Transvaal rugby player, Blue Bull. Okay? When you're a boy. If you go and sit behind the piano, you're not seen. Selectively. So you're only seen when you play something that mom and dad likes. Or that's their dream for you. Okay? Or you are shamed when you play something. Or you are the one that always comes with the bird that has broken its wing. Or, that's the little one. Ne? Or you are a boy and you come in the room and you've got makeup all over your face. And they call you words. You are shamed. Or you are misused. Perhaps you are good with reciting poems or playing the piano, and as soon as there's people coming in the house, come and play for them. Or recite for them. It's so cute. So the child will do that. Why? Because they choose love above life. But they don't want to. They want to play with their playmates. Identity. Or the worst is they're just never seen. The little daughter waits for her dad to come home from work. She's Tinkerbell. Is that something that you know, Tinkerbell? Okay. And she's got the little Tinkerbell dress on and the shoes and all the things, and she's behind the curtain, and Dad goes and sits with his newspaper or his laptop, thank you, and she jumps out of behind the curtain, and he doesn't look up. She's not seen. Okay? So what happens here is the picture that we develop about ourselves is very vague. I don't know who I am. Nobody witnessed me. I'm not sure. If I buy shoes, I need to take a friend with me to help me decide. Or I'm very rigid. We eat at the Spur or the Wimpy Bar. That's it. Nothing else. Okay? And the last one is competency phase between 5 and 7. Now the new cortex is starting working. We're going to school. The most important thing here is parents should see the child's process. So I get into the room and I made my own shoelaces. I tied my own shoelaces. And now Mom and Dad says, you tied your own shoelaces. Come and show me how you did it. And they untie it and they watch how this little finger ties it up again. You can tie your shoelaces. What happens? One of two things. That's not tidy enough. You can't do it. Let me do it for you. Don't be strong. Don't show your strength. I'll do it for you. Later on, it's the parents who do the kids' homework. Don't do that. You're not building your child's self-esteem. You're telling the child they're not strong. Okay? Or that little shoelace that you tied is the best. It must always look like that. So what is the child here? Perfection. Don't make a mistake. Do the right things right. Always there. And then we get the perfectionist. The child looks at the bigger world as I must be a perfectionist or I must serve, because what happens here is if I do everything right for Mommy and Daddy, they're happy. And I cannot get a distinction for maths like my sister, but I can do the dishes. Okay, so why is it important? Our time is running out. All of us went through all 4 of these phases. Nothing here and nothing that I've spoken about this morning is right or wrong. It just is. The question is, what is the influence of this on this relationship? What's playing here? Now we grow up. All of us gets more or less, the clever people tells us, 60% successful witnessing from our parents. So all of us have a 40% hurt in every phase, and that's why I said we are all clingers and all avoiders. And we are all rigid sometimes and vague sometimes. And we are all perfectionists sometimes and servers sometimes. Is it wrong or right? No. It is what is the function of that. Why are we doing what we're doing? And marriage triggers these stuff. So what are we looking for? We're looking for how does this influence and sit under our conflict in our marriages? What is the story? Because what the child did, without knowing it, was build a picture of, I am hurting 40% on all these, but John Gottman also finds that all of us hurts in one of these phases, sometimes 2, more than the other. And here's the crux. We marry a partner that was hurt in exactly the same place. So, we all have this, but all of us might have The fear that we are not good enough, this one, as a bigger hurt. Coloring how I'm looking at what's happening here. Does it make sense? Okay, so you asked the question, isn't it also good to sometimes have time? Yes, it is. But if that time scares your wife, you are always away, you are always doing your own thing, you are always, then something should register. What is the function of what I'm doing? And I also register, there's a fear there. Where's that coming from? And we start speaking and communicating not about what is right or who is right and wrong. We start communicating about what is happening here. Does it make sense, guys? Okay? And that is usually underneath the conflict in our marriages. Because we register something without knowing it. It's an old hurt. The little girl grew up, in my instance, with a very autocratic dad. He loved us dearly, and he did the best he could. But I grew up here. This is my hurt. If you do something, it must be perfect. Or you don't do it. Procrastinators. Most of the time are perfectionists. Yes, I see them smile here. This. Now, my husband tells me, the cake that you bake is very nice, but the one that you baked 3 weeks ago, immediately, it's not perfect. I made a mistake. I shouldn't make a mistake. Or I'm forever serving. I'm cleaning the floors. I'm baking and cooking. And then there's this little voice telling me, nobody is seeing what you're doing. You're not seeing all the hard work that I'm doing for you. Does that sound familiar? Or, we always go where you want to go on date nights. Okay, so next time you tell us where you want to go. Next time. So where are we going? Oh, I thought we can go, no, I don't know. You choose. Ne? And here you will often hear, you're never home, you don't love me, I've sent you 40 WhatsApps today, you didn't answer one of them, and the other one will just say, just give me my space. This is the language. Again, it's not a right or a wrong. What does God want us to do? Whoopsie, there it goes. He wants us to transform. So a lot of the stuff that we grew up with, and we are good with it. Ne? I am a perfectionist. That is not wrong. It's not wrong. I can do certain things, not perfect, but I can be excellent in certain things. That's not wrong. But if it's done from fear, God wants me to transform out of fear into love. And He tells me, listen, Elmarie, that's fine, you can be excellent. But you know what? It's also okay to sometimes just let people take care of you. And it's also okay to sometimes say no. Because these guys, the perfectionists, they never say no. They don't have boundaries. They can do everything. They will take on everything. The growth work, the transformative work, is firstly to become aware that, now I realize why I'm doing what I'm doing. There's a function, and we're going to work with that in the next 3 or 4 weeks. There's a function here. Usually, it is to get away from some kind of emotion that I don't like. And now I need to grow through it to become mature. And that is also the path of the marriage. Okay, and this is where I'm going to stop. I'm going to give you quickly the homework. So, for next week, some of you have done this, please do it again. And it's individual. So, each one of you go as far back as you can remember, preferably your first 7 years. And as the little boy and the little girl, try to remember what was good growing up with your dad or the primary caregiver, if it was your granddad or an uncle or an aunt, not an aunt, the male figure. What was good growing up with that person and what wasn't good? And the same with your mother or the female caregiver. Now, this is not an exercise in disrespect. We accept that all our parents did the best they could. This is your story, not their stories. Okay? What was good, what wasn't good? What did the little boy or the little girl need and did not receive? And what was your typical reaction if you did not receive that? Okay, so what was good, what was not good with both parents or caregivers? What did you need and not receive? And what was your reaction? Okay? What we're going to do with that, just quickly next week, we're going to use that and start practicing how do we dialogue with one another. How do I look you in the eyes and tell you my story without you needing to interrupt or giving your story back? How do we listen to understand and not to fix? That's one you can take home. Listen to understand, not to fix.
Is that the Zoom session?
Yes. Might be a bit difficult with Zoom, but I'm going to check all of you. Yeah. Okay, so everybody knows what they need to do. All right. Thank you very much.